So I've got a question from Pauline Hull, which is, should I invest in property? Well, historically, property's performed really well. What we now know about the market is it is cyclical. And unfortunately, we never quite know whereabouts in that cycle we are. So no one can ever give you a stone cold guarantee that you're going to buy a property and make money. Now, going back to those historic previous peaks in the market, let's say you're unlucky enough to buy a property right at the peak, and literally the day after the property market sinks, some wider economic event happens, and the property value that you bought, the 100 grand house you bought, is now worth 90,000 overnight. Obviously, that's terrible news. But the UK is a country that is obsessed with property ownership. So if you go back to those previous points at the end of the 80s, early 90s, and then at the point of the credit crunch 2007, of course, this did happen to people. And if you're in a position where you're forced to sell a property because you can't keep your payments up or some other situation happens, then it could be that the value of your investment when you encash it is less than when you bought it. However, going back to those specific 2 points in history, if customers were able to keep their payments up and retain ownership of those properties, the values did recover and exceed the previous peaks. And that's why I think over the years, people have continued to invest in property, although it's great for us to know now that, unlike maybe what the typical thinking was in the 1970s, that not necessarily a price is always going to go up. Thanks for watching the video. We do rely on user-generated content, so please subscribe if you found the information useful, and send me a question in the comments below, or drop me an email and I'll do my best to answer it.